I just finished my first custom map in Minecraft, and it took me over a month to do so, but hopefully the tale of the journey won't take quite as long. I mean, you probably looked at the length of the video before you clicked, and I don't think it said a month. Now, I could go about narrating this video in the style of Day 1 was spent setting up the landscape. Day 2 was spent talking about boomers while I built a train station, the way you would typically find in those 100 days in Minecraft type videos. But in reality, that's very inaccurate to how I actually went about creating this map. I actually already came up with a concept for the map back in November, and I'm pretty sure the idea had crossed my mind all the way back in October. Like, if you look very closely at the World Painter clip from Day 1, you will notice that it was recorded on the 6th of November. So even though it might have seemed like it for those who were watching along, I didn't just spew out random things every day. No, I had a plan in mind, and the plan was simple. First, I would sketch out a general map of what I wanted the town I had envisioned to be like, and what kind of environment I would like to be around it. Second, I would make a document listing out 24 things that I would build in this town in the order in which I would build them. Lastly, I would build and make the videos in chunks of 6 days at a time, and then I just had to start. Now that sounds pretty straightforward, and the first 2 steps were done in no time, but the last step turned out to be quite a struggle because I've never taken on the task of making and uploading daily videos, and I'm also still very inexperienced in content creation, which basically just means I'm hella slow. So in the first 6 days, I would be making the terrain and a little house for me, the train station and a train, some small houses, a big Santa sleigh, and I also wanted to make a custom texture pack with some Christmas themes. So by the end of November, I had recorded, edited, and uploaded the first 6 videos that were scheduled for December with finished thumbnails and descriptions. Now, if you're a little bit speedy at math, you might notice that from the 6th of November to the 30th is quite a lot of days to just make 6 videos if you want them to be daily. Well, I did also post like 3 things in November, but still it meant I would have to seriously pick up my pace. And during the first days of December, I did just that. And I sped through building the town marketplace and most of the buildings surrounding the town plaza. And these days were also where I got a lot more streamlined in my building and decorating, and where I set up most of my rules on how things should be built in this town. And what I mean by rules, and I do mention this in my videos every now and then, but a great way of making a big build with lots of small components be more cohesive in the design is to set up some rules for yourself. For me, this usually includes a semi-set block palette, and for the houses, how the spruce frame is allowed to be built and the way it dictates the rest of the house, and what kind of detailing that go on the walls. Personally, I'm a huge fan of this altering fence and fence gate look, so you can see I put that on a lot of the buildings. Now, I know all these rules sounded very wishy-washy, and that's because they are. Like, what does a semi-set block palette mean? Well, it just meant I let myself break the palette every now and then whenever I thought it'd be fitting. I also broke the other rules many times throughout the building process. And I would say, depending on how many constraints you like to have on your building, you can experiment a lot with how concrete you make these rules. And note that the rules can also be things that are not allowed rather than things you have to follow. Like on this map, I didn't want any 2 houses to be exactly the same shape and design, thus forcing myself to come up with something new, but still similar every time, if that makes any sense. But building is not the only thing I got a hold of in these days. I also got a lot firmer grip on how I was making the videos. I even managed to pump out an extra short on the 4th, and with the 12th being the last video taking place outside of Minecraft while I finished up the resource pack, I became pretty confident that I would be able to get through the 24 days pretty easy peasy. Well, that's kind of where it all started falling apart. Even though my confidence was at a new high, a lot of the motivation I had in the beginning had dwindled away by now. And looking at the builds I would have to do for these next 6 days didn't make it any better. 2 of the days were gonna be spent building houses, which by now had become pretty repetitive and boring. And for the 15th and 18th, I would have to build things I've never attempted in Minecraft before: an ice skating rink and a ski slope. Both seemed pretty easy to build, and they were. I mean, the ski slope was basically already built because of how I I shaped the mountain in the first episode, but easy to build doesn't always make an interesting video, and I had no idea if they were gonna turn out any good. Spoiler alert, those 2 days ended up being some of the videos I enjoyed the most making, just because of all the randomness I threw into them, which usually is not too smart of an idea if you're gonna make high quality content. But to my surprise, they were both also pretty well received. Another thing that happened during these days, which didn't really go according to plan, was instead of finishing these videos on the 12th like I was supposed to, I didn't upload the video for the 18th until December 14th. So my whole schedule had been pushed by 2 days. And with Christmas getting closer and my everyday schedule was starting to get packed with my social life that I am desperately trying to keep afloat. I know, shocking, gamer girl has a social life. Anyways, this meant my palms were starting to get a little sweaty on the keyboard, but at the same time, I also knew I only had 6 more videos to reach my 24-day goal, so somehow this made me feel like the end was actually in sight, and so I changed up my batch size of making 6 videos at a time to just making 2. This was definitely a wise decision since this lifted most of the stress I'd been feeling, and I found myself back in the mood to build. And I had been looking forward to the build of the 19th, which was a gingerbread house that was gonna sit at the top of the ski slope. And on that day, I decided to stray pretty far from my original building plans and started adding candy canes to the landscape, which wasn't really supposed to be added until the video for the 22nd. But luckily for me, on that same day, I finished the video for the 19th and the 20th, which, just to get you on the same page as I, was on the 16th, where I got a comment on that day's video with a great suggestion for a build. And I'm pretty sure when YouTubers say they get 80% of their ideas from comments, they're actually lying, and it's more like 91.3% of their ideas. Anyways, the plan to build a nutcracker was swiftly added to the plan for the 22nd, while I continued on with the building for the 21st, which was a church, which I was actually pretty torn about whether or not I should build, because I didn't want to mix religion into the sacred game of Minecraft, but I think I handled it pretty okay by coming up with an outline for a brand new religion unique to the world of Minecraft. Maybe I should make a build out of that. Anyways, we've already talked about the 22nd, but I just want to mention that I'm really grateful, not just for the comment about the nutcracker that I used for that day, but also all the other comments and great support for the project in general. It means so much to me that you guys took time out of your days to watch my silly little videos, and so many of you even took time to leave likes and comments to cheer me on. So thank you. But enough with the softy talk. I breezed through the builds for the 23rd and the 24th and was done with all the videos by the 22nd, and it was finally time to breathe. Now, for those of you who followed along or have just looked at my channel page will probably know that I did in fact not make 24 videos, but 25. Well, if you count the shorts, it's actually 29, but we're not gonna count those because they are really in a category by themselves. The 25th video was one I had wanted to make all along, but I wasn't really sure of how I was gonna do it or if I would have the time to figure it out. And instead of sitting down and taking the free time I had from the 22nd till the 25th, I procrastinated until the evening of the 24th and managed to keep myself awake until 5 a.m. on the morning of the 25th, where I had finally blown up the town and pieced together an explosive ending to the series. Oh yes, I have a very healthy sleep schedule. And after that, I must say, I felt a little bit burned out, which is also why it has taken me a while to make this video. But overall, I'm proud of what I built, and I'm excited to make more big projects like that. But at the same time, I'm also scared to ever attempt making a daily series like that again, because of how extreme of a learning experience it turned out to be in so many different aspects of content creation. So in the future, I think I'll just stay closer to a weekly upload schedule. I know I've never had much of a schedule on my channel, but it's 2022 and I'm gonna try. And one last thing before I end the video, we had 500 subs, which is crazy, but this means I should hopefully get access to the community tab pretty soon, and you guys will have a much easier way to have a say in what I should build or make on the channel. Anyways, I think that summed up pretty much all of December, and now I just want to wish you all a great 2022.